Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's Macklin Gaming. Last year, in 2024, there was a little game called Metaphor ReFantazio. I guess it got a lot of good reviews, and it came out as like a 94 on Metacritic. And I was like, I did not expect this game to blow up the way it did. Like, I heard about it, and I didn't even realize it was an Atlus game until it came out, and everyone's like, oh, this is one of Atlus's greatest games. 94 on Metacritic, it's a must play. And so I was like, okay, let's check it out. You know, I'll play this RPG. I've never played a Persona game or anything like that. So Metaphor was my first Atlus RPG, and it blew me away, honestly. It was my game of the year last year. So once I finished that game and I was taken over by the Atlus RPG bug, and I was like, I need to play more of these games. I got to go back and either play Shin Megami Tensei or Persona. You know, and this was around the time of like Black Friday. If you guys remember my Black Friday video, I picked up 2 games, and one of those games was Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I already made my review. I played that first. And the second game was Persona 3 Reload, which I have just finished, you know, a couple days ago. So, man, what a game. Like, there's a lot to go over here. This game is an amazing RPG, but it is a very like deep and dark story RPG. So let's talk about all of that in Persona 3 Reload. So after playing Metaphor and being like blown away by its mechanics and its, you know, day-night cycle, it's like calendar year cycle really, and your time management, all this stuff I had never really experienced before except slightly in like Fire Emblem Three Houses, you know, I was like, okay, is this like a unique thing, or like, is this the first time a game like this has happened? No, Atlus has been doing this and perfecting this, you know, gameplay loop for years. And apparently the first game, to my knowledge, was Persona 3, not Reload, but just the original Persona 3 was the first game that they made with like a calendar year cycle, whatever you want to call it. So I started at the beginning, you know, so to speak. I wasn't going to go play Persona 1 and 2. They could remake those, then I'll check them out. But Persona 3 Reload, it came out last year as well. And I jumped into it as my first Persona game, and I was just blown away. I mean, this game has like killer characters, really good writing. Let's start just with the story and set up the, you know, setting of the game. So you play as the main character, who is a mysterious kid who gets transferred to a new high school, and you get moved into a dorm. And so you're living as a boarding student in this dorm with a bunch of other kids, and some of them are like, they almost seem like they're adults. You know, the two, Akihiko and Mitsuri, they are like the seniors, so to speak. And, you know, the voice acting is like, these people are like 30. And so I'm like, whoa. But they give off that, you know, elderly student vibe. So they're like your big brother and sister. You know, you got Mitsuru-san, Akihiko-san. Akihiko's like the brawler. You know, he does like physical damage. He also has like, his persona has lightning. And Mitsuru is like a agile, like little swordswoman with ice affinity in her persona. So those are the first 2 like older kids that you meet, and they sense a special ability in you, you know, where they both have personas that are fixed. You are a kid that can change your persona and create new personas and use different personas like every turn of battle, right? So where is this all coming from? Well, the persona is like their inner soul, you know, they have to like be awakened to it. If you've played Metaphor, it's kind of like the archetypes. That's what they're going for. But Persona, you know, they talk more about like their personality, and the whole game is based off of those kind of things. But to start out, you're in this dorm, you're going to this high school, you've awakened your persona. You realize that only your little group of kids in this dorm are the ones that can use personas, except for like a few other people in the game, which we'll get to. But so far, you guys are the ones that can protect the rest of the world from the dark hour, which is what they call the 25th hour of the day, right? So like the 24 hours go by, and at midnight, there's an extra hour, and most other normal people, they don't realize it's happening. They get like trapped in a coffin and they just like, it's like they're sleeping and they wake up and they don't realize what happened. But you guys are awake because you guys have your personas, and you are the ones who have to go fight and battle the shadows, which are like the enemies. And most all of them take place in this one tower called Tartarus. So you go to this like dark tower in this 1 hour of time that only you guys can experience, and it's like really dark and mysterious. And so you go up this Tartarus tower, and that's where like a lot of the battling and exploration takes place in Persona 3 Reload. So Tartarus has like over 200 floors. It takes you the whole game to battle and go all the way up, and there's like bosses every few levels. Every like 5 to 7 levels you have to fight a really difficult boss, and there's like little bits of loot in there. You can get new items and weapons and armor and stuff in there. But let's talk about the combat. It's very similar to Metaphor, obviously, but this game came first, so I should say Metaphor is similar to Persona, right? So you battle in turn-based combat, very fluid. Your different teammates have their personas, and each one has strengths and weaknesses, right? And you are the one who can gather all these different personas like Pokemon, and you can fuse them together and evolve them, and you can change yours every turn in battle if you want to. So there's so many cool personas. Like some of them are based on gods, like Norse gods and Greek gods, maybe from like Japanese folklore, things I don't know about, but some really interesting, like almost like demon type personas. And apparently there's personas that are from other characters in other Persona games or something like that, which I didn't realize. Someone told me that. But there's so many different, I don't want to call them monsters, but there's so many different personas that you can create, and some of them are just like beasts, absolute demons. And once you start fusing higher level personas, they get higher level abilities, like element abilities and physical damage, whatever it is that they specialize in. They just start getting like higher level and higher damage abilities. You have to just fight your way to the top of Tartarus. Every night you want to try and maximize how far you can go, because there's so many floors, and then you'll get blocked off until you have to like progress the main story. So to like manage your time efficiently, you want to go as far as you can through Tartarus. You got to conserve your like SP and obviously your health as well. But battling up Tartarus, it can get a little redundant because it's like the one area of the game where you fight mostly. Like there's some battles that take place in the story that are outside of Tartarus, but only like a handful. Whereas Tartarus is like the nightly grind, That's the one thing about the game that I know it's a older Persona game. They didn't have the like resources to create a big open sprawling like map of enemies or like different dungeons like Metaphor has, but Persona 3 has Tartarus, and I actually quite like it, Given its pros and cons, it's still a really fun area to explore all the way to the top, and it keeps you challenged with like harder shadows, harder bosses as you go. So let's talk about the game's important themes that are written into the story. I only mentioned a couple of the characters so far, but besides your main character, you have Yukari the healer, Junpei, who's like this goofy kind of like cocky kid who actually always gets like rejected by girls the whole game, except like one moment that's like really intense with him. Other than that, you got this little kid Ken who comes in. You even get a dog who awakens to his persona. So like all these people I'm mentioning, they have their personas and they fight with you in battle. And then you have Aragaki-san, who's a very mysterious kid. And these people have like some really deep backstories happening here. Now, I don't want to spoil the story because it's just amazing. There's so many good twists and turns, but some of the characters are with you till the end. Some of them, they leave in one way or another. They pass on. So it's a very intense storyline. But this game's main theme of the story with all these characters and what they go through and experience throughout the game is death. And death is like always looming over them. The dark hours scaring people around the city, and they don't know, like they have to protect it. So they're sacrificing themselves as high school kids. They're going out and battling, protecting the whole city. But the recurring theme that is always coming up is death, and how do they handle death when they see it, when they experience it. Some of the characters, go through this. I don't want to spoil who does what or anything, but how do these kids handle the idea of death and passing away and knowing that everyone will die someday. That's like the big theme of this game. Like, everyone will die. So what is the point of living or being happy or connecting with people? Some of the characters in the game wonder this. Why should I even have friends and stuff? It makes it harder to move on from them and all these kind of things. And they have to realize at the end and make a choice that it's much better to live your life having experiences with other people and meeting new friends and falling in love and all this stuff, which makes it harder to move on. And if they pass on or pass away, it makes it harder, but it's more worth it than to just, never know anybody. Like, I'm being a little vague, but to just like have your mind erased of any memories of any happy moments with people in your life, and then dying is not so bad, right? But these are the kind of choices and themes that the characters have to decide about in the game. And you ultimately are the main character. You have to decide how you feel about that really dark, idea of death. And would you rather forget about everyone you ever knew so you can pass on peacefully? Or would you rather have all these memories, of all your friends and loved ones and go through the pain of losing them all? So that is like the core idea of Persona 3, and it kind of blew me away. Like, because they don't just kind of talk about it for a second. It's like, as the main story progresses, people lose each other, like characters are lost, and there's like very intense moments, and so they're experiencing it as they go through the game. So once you get to the end, you have to make your choice, and I think most people will choose the one option. I'm not going to say which one, but it's the one I chose, and you get the more beautiful ending rather than like the dark ending. So the whole game is dark, but it has a very, very interesting idea and theme around death. So if you have like existential dread or anxiety, like, why are we here? Why should I even do anything if I'm gonna die one day? Play this game. Play Persona 3. It's a beautiful game about the meaning of life by teaching you about death, and making you wonder, how do you feel about everything and everyone will one day die? It's like that Flaming Lips song, Do You Realize? So I don't want to get too much deeper into it. You have to play this game for yourself, but Persona 3 Reload definitely made me think about these deep themes in life, not just in the game, but it is definitely an impactful, beautiful RPG. I think it's a must play. Play the remake, play Reload. Let me know what you guys think about it. Leave a like on the video and subscribe. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.